Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're not just talking about stories we read. We're exploring how some authors, well, they don't just entertain, they sort of reach right into your chest and rearrange things a bit. We're talking about those narratives that leave a real emotional mark, the kind that stick with you long after you've finished. How do they actually do that? So we're taking a deep dive into this really fascinating book review. It's from Raindrop Reflections, and it focuses on Lauren Roberts' novella, Fearful. It's part of the Powerless Trilogy, our mission today. It's really to unpack how this one novella, seen through this reviewer's pretty intense emotional journey, explores grief, character complexity, and that really bittersweet side of love. We want to explore why some stories leave us, like the reviewer said, staring into the abyss of our hearts. And right from the start, this reviewer admits they were just not ready. They called Fearful an emotional roller coaster. Said their heart was nowhere close to being prepared. That's quite something, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It really speaks volumes, that initial reaction. It tells you this isn't just a casual read. It's something that pulls you in deep right away. When a reader says they weren't prepared, it suggests the author is really good at upending expectations,
Yeah.
plunging you into emotional territory you didn't see coming.
Exactly. It's like the story grabs you immediately.
Yeah, and that immediate grip is, well, it's crucial if a story is going to have that lasting impact you mentioned.
Yeah.
Makes it more than just escapism.
I completely agree. And building on that, what struck me was how fast the reviewer felt things start to unravel. They talked about the prose, the actual writing style, having this poetic force. From the moment I opened the pages, the poetry of Robert's prose enveloped me like a warm, haunting embrace. Warm, haunting embrace. That's such a great description, isn't it, for just words? It makes you feel invited in, but maybe a little uneasy, too.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the power of language there. You just can't overestimate it for setting the emotional mood.
Yeah.
When a writer hits that poetry of prose level, like the reviewer felt, it's not just plot points, it's atmosphere. It's a whole feeling. The reviewer said Roberts knew precisely how to unravel me page by page. That feeling of being compelled to go deeper, even when it felt heavy.
Right, like being pulled under by the story's current.
Exactly. It's not passive reading. It's like
Yeah.
you're surrendering to it emotionally. It shows real skill with language as a psychological tool.
But then, boom, right in the middle of that haunting embrace, the reviewer mentions a line that just stabbed me in the heart. Simple sentence. Love too grand, it kills.
Mm.
Like, that's
Okay.
direct. For a story to hit you with something that heavy, hinting at tragedy right away, how does that even work? Doesn't it risk giving things away?
That's a really sharp point. It could feel like a spoiler, couldn't it? But I
Yeah.
think what Roberts does here is clever. It's less about plot, more about theme. It creates this immediate tension.
Ah, thematic tension. Okay.
Yeah, it's like lighting a fuse right at the start. You stop wondering if something bad will happen because of this love and start wondering how. How will this love too grand actually kill?
So it changes how you read it. Makes you more active.
Precisely. You're not just reading. You're kind of investigating this core paradox the author just laid out. You're watching for how it unfolds. It's an amazing bit of literary compression, like packing a whole novel's worth of emotional weight into one line.
Yeah.
Love too grand, it kills. It's almost the story's thesis statement right there, a promise of the emotional depth to come.
So it's like setting an emotional contract with the reader right up front. Here's the big idea, now let's explore it. It really makes you pause. For you listening, think about that. Have you ever had a line in a book or maybe even a song lyric just stop you, hook you instantly, like a tiny phrase that somehow holds the whole weight of the story? It's pretty powerful when that happens. And all that poetic language, that gut punch opening line, where does it really hit home? Well, the reviewer points right at a character, Kitt Azer. He's described as the heart of Fearful's emotional weight. Not just a king, not just a fighter, but embodying a flame that flickers with both life and death. That's evocative, tells you there's a lot going on inside him.
Absolutely. And what's key here, what the review really highlights, is the shift in perspective. The novella lets us see things through his eyes. The reviewer notes we see these layers of restraint and longing as the story unfolds from his point of view.
Which changes things, right?
Completely. It takes someone who, maybe in the main trilogy, seemed more like a clear-cut villain and transforms him. You see this deeply complex, broken soul. It's about humanizing him, peeling back those layers to see the pain and the reasons behind his actions. It forces you into empathy.
It really does. And the reviewer uses this incredible phrase for it. They say Kitt's narrative isn't just backstory, it's an emotional autopsy. An emotional autopsy. That just paints such a picture. Digging deep into why he is the way he is. and it makes you question everything, apparently. Heroism, villainy, the lines get blurry.
That phrase is perfect, isn't it? Emotional autopsy. It's like a forensic look, but at the soul. It's not just about what he did, but the painstaking uncovering of the why, the
Hmm.
pressures, the past hurts, the internal conflicts, all of it.
Yeah.
And that raises a bigger question, doesn't it? Why do these stories, the ones that mess with our easy categories of good and evil, why do they often feel the most insightful?
Because life isn't simple categories.
Exactly. When a character like Kitt gets this deep dive, it forces us into those gray areas. It shows that villainy often has roots, and maybe heroism isn't always pure. It mirrors reality where people are complicated products of circumstance and choice. That complexity makes it resonate more deeply intellectually, too. It makes you ask, do we ever really get someone until we see their inner world?
And maybe that complexity is why characters like that stick with us. The ones we grapple with, try to understand. It's about finding that empathy, even if their actions are difficult. Fearful seems to nail that with Kitt. Okay, so let's shift a bit to the big themes the review pulls out. It talks about fearful weaving together, fate, sacrifice, and the bittersweet reality of love that seems almost destined to bring ruin. Definitely not sounding like your standard romance here. It feels heavy, almost fated, like a tragedy.
Yeah, the reviewer really points to that intricate connection between these huge themes.
Mhm.
We hear about the relationship between Kit and Mara. She's described as mysterious, as she is coldly powerful. Their connection is fraught with tension.
Fraught. Good word for it.
And their love isn't just presented as a feeling, it's like a force. Something that's both salvation and destruction.
Wow, both at once.
That duality seems key. It suggests a love that's so intense, so tangled up with destiny and what they have to give up, that it can save them and destroy them simultaneously. It's about those connections that are hard to define, where the very strength of the bond might also be what makes it dangerous. The kind of love that shapes you, but maybe also breaks you.
And right in the thick of all that intensity, there's another quote the reviewer pulled out. And honestly, this one stopped me too. It's just, wow, this isn't closure. This is a wound with no name. A wound with no name. That hits hard. It feels like it's pushing back against our usual need for neat endings, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. That line is so significant. It directly challenges that common story expectation, that need we have for resolution after something tough. We're sort of culturally trained to look for closure, right? To tie up the loose emotional ends.
Yeah, we want the healing montage, the moving on.
But this novella, through this line, seems to insist that maybe closure is, well, maybe it's an illusion sometimes, especially with really deep connections, really big losses. Some wounds they stay open. They become part of you.
Not healing in the usual sense.
Right. They shape you. So it's acknowledging that lasting grief, those marks left by big experiences. It suggests that maybe the most powerful connections don't actually end. They just change form, become something else inside you.
It really does make you reconsider how we talk about healing, about getting over things. For you listening, think about that for a second. Have you ever felt that? A situation maybe, or another story you read, where closure just didn't feel right or even possible, where that wound with no name just existed, and maybe there was some meaning in that, in the not quite healed part. Sometimes the lingering feeling is what makes it stick. So when the reviewer finishes fearful, the final feeling they describe is this mix, devastation and illumination. That's quite a combination. They make it clear this wasn't just a quick fantasy read, it was a celebration of emotional depth. That's pretty high praise, especially for a novella. Suggests it really gets under your skin.
And that's where we connect it back, right? Why do stories like this resonate so much? The ones exploring the messy bits of love and hate, the bittersweet messiness of human connection. I think it's because they don't give easy answers. They don't tidy everything up.
They embrace the mess.
Exactly. They hold up a mirror to our own messy lives, our own complicated feelings and relationships. By not shying away from the tough stuff, the unresolved bits, they make you think. Long after you finish reading, they become these mirrors, reflecting our own questions about life, loss, love, not giving answers maybe, but offering a kind of shared understanding. You feel less alone in those complex feelings.
And the reviewer ends with this piece of advice, kind of playful but also serious. They basically say, prepare yourself, I love this part, bring tissues, a playlist, and perhaps a cozy blanket, because you will be left staring into the abyss of your heart long after the last word is read. It's not just a recommendation, it's like an invitation to something potentially difficult, but ultimately rewarding.
It really is. An invitation to see what you're capable of feeling, maybe.
And that brings up a good question for you, the listener. What is it in a story that makes you feel truly seen, truly understood in all your own emotional complexity? Is it seeing grief portrayed honestly, Is it a character that feels real, flaws and all? Or is it seeing love shown as the complicated, sometimes painful thing it can be?
Mhm.
Stories like Fearful, the ones that hit hard emotionally, they often become important to us personally, don't they? They help us process our own stuff, understand ourselves a bit better, make our own realities feel shared.
And it really highlights the power of the novella form, too, right? Shorter, maybe, but sometimes that means even more concentrated impact.
No room for wasted words. Every line has to count emotionally. Yeah, exactly. So we've really walked through a powerful review today. We've seen how Lauren Roberts' Fearful seems to use that poetic writing, the deep dive into Kitt Azer's character, and this really challenging view on love and loss. How it all comes together to create something profoundly moving. This look at one reader's intense reaction kind of gives us a map, doesn't it? A map to how authors can tap into really deep emotional currents, even in fantasy worlds. It's a reminder that great stories, they can make us rethink big ideas, heroism, villainy, love, loss. It's not just about the plot, it's about how it makes you feel and what questions linger afterwards.
Well said. It's about that reflection, seeing parts of our own inner lives mirrored in the narrative.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to chew on, a provocative thought maybe. If this review and the novella itself suggest that some deep wounds aren't meant for closure, that they're supposed to stay open, what wisdom could we possibly gain from embracing that? From accepting the lack of a neat ending? What might we learn about ourselves, about our most important connections, if we let those wounds with no name just be there? As reminders of what mattered instead of things we constantly try to fix or move past. Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.